Mike Flag football. How'd you get involved in it?
Actually, I got involved with flag football. I was working with NCSA. NCSA was a recruiting service in Chicago. And I got tired of doing that, man. I was like calling up these families every day, 3-4 hours a day, trying to get them to get involved with us so we can help their kids get recruited. And so the guy who was in charge, Isaiah Reese, he said, Mike, you're not going to stay here long. I can tell you that right now. He said, because I can't see you calling families every day. So he started getting involved with Rivals. Rivals is another recruiting deal, but they actually run camps for high school kids, helping to rank them for colleges. And I was the national receiver coach for Rivals. So I traveled all the country. I saw the best of the best. There are guys that's in college. There's a couple of guys that's in the pros that came through me, and I said, he gonna be the one. That's gonna be a good player. So then, while they were doing that, Isaiah Reese said, hey man, I'm taking over NFL flag football. Would you be interested? He said, you can create a group in Chicago. And I said, you know what? Yeah, let's try that. And so he said, your first year, don't get too upset about it. He said, if you get 50 kids, that's a great season. I said, come on, man, 50 kids? I said, if I can't get more than 50 kids, I don't need to be doing this. So as we were doing it, and see, again, I'm in Chicago. I don't know that many people, even though I've been there for a minute, still didn't know a whole lot of people. And so registration was real slow. And I'm like, oh, we may not even get 50 people. But we finally wound up getting like 74. Got 74 kids the first year. Second year, we got 125. Third year, we got 150. We were going up by 25. We're around 200 kids right now. They have an NFL Flag Summit every year. They had it in Dallas last year. I go to the NFL Flag Summit, and I'm telling the Bengals, because I went to the one the year before, and I'm telling the Bengals, man, you got all the NFL teams are coming except you guys and a couple other teams. When you guys need to come on. I go to sit at the NFC, what are they? The NFC
AFC North.
AFC North. I go to AFC North table. They got everybody there except the Bengals. I'm like, come on, guys, really? And so I told one of the ladies, Taylor Conklin, she is in charge of doing stuff now. I said, Taylor, y'all got to come to the summit. I said, everybody's showing up at the Bengals. Y'all got to come. And so they wound up coming. While they sitting up there, now I'm talking to her about, I need to bring NFL flag to Cincinnati. I know I can make this thing incredible in Cincinnati because I don't know anybody in Chicago and I'm getting about 200 kids. Cincinnati, I can blow this thing up and I can make a huge impact not only for the kids, but for my son's foundation and being able to create scholarships and all the things that we do for him with the kids. And so she came, which was great. I won NFL Flag of the Year. And she was like, oh my goodness, let me go back and tell the Bengals who won Flag of the Year. And so she came back, she said, hey Mike, Bengals want to do something. I said, that's awesome. I said, that's awesome. I said, so I started making phone calls. Look, I've been here twice already, just meeting with people. We're gonna have the league at Taft High School. I got a meeting tonight with a lot of my former players who coach youth football now. And I'm meeting with them tonight and we're gonna go over everything that I'm expecting from them as far as me and my coaches. They're bringing all their kids from their programs. So the first year, I'm saying 100 for the first year. My wife is saying 150. The players are saying 200 and 300. I'm like, we ain't gonna get there. But I said, if I can get 100, I'm gonna feel good. I feel good about it.
Let's start with the players. Some of your teammates are going to be involved.
Yes.
What teammates are we going to see on the sidelines at Taft?
I talked to Ira Hillary yesterday, and him and Barney Bussey were together. And of course, Barney, one of those guys. No matter what you say, he's going to come back with something crazy to go against whatever it is that you're saying. So I said, Barney, you coming? Man, ain't nobody messing with you. he said, you gonna have us run around with some kids. I said, Bonnie, yeah, man, I'll be there. Joe Kelly, I'll be there. Ira Hillary, I'll be there. I'm still waiting to hear back from Icky. I'm waiting to hear back from Eric Thomas. Any of the former guys that I played with, we have had a brief conversation before, and they all said, yeah, man, let me know the date and the dates that you'll be here. And if they don't have anything going on, I'm gonna get them involved. I'm gonna call Anthony Munoz. I'm gonna call whoever's in town. I'm calling them.
You said you won Flag of the Year?
Yes.
What is that?
Flag of the Year. Well, they had 4 different categories. I won Flag of the Year with less than 300 participants. I was considered small group Flag of the Year. Basically, what that was that the NFL Flag Organization, they were extremely pleased with our operation, how organized we were, but more than that, my coaches are mentors for these kids. We have a smoothie bar in Chicago called The Lab. We have a fitness facility. Every year, I talk to the parents while the kids are there. If your child is not doing what they're supposed to do at home, or if they're not doing what they're supposed to do at school, call me. They're gonna come to the lab, and we're gonna work out. And a couple of parents called. And I told one parent, I said, she's new this year. I said, ask this young man right here about the lab. Soon he heard lab. No, I don't want to go to the lab. I don't want to go to the lab. It's like he tried to kill you in there. I was like, no. I said, I want them to understand that, first of all, you have to be respectful, but you have to be able to get the things done that your parents and your teachers and your adults are trying to get you to do. You cannot be disrespectful for them, and you sure cannot play for me if that's the case. And it works. The kids are just, they're so excited about wanting to play, but the parents are really, they love the fact of how organized we are. And that's because of my wife, Michelle. She called me late last night. Hey, I got the schedule out for next week. And I'm like, Michelle, I'm in the bed. I said, we can talk about tomorrow. We can talk about tomorrow. No, I can't get this done until I go to sleep. I'm sending you a copy of it, so you go over everything, and then let me know if the schedule works. Like, I'm sure it will. I'm sure, but no, getting an opportunity to impact our young people on behalf of Marcus, our son, it's a wonderful thing.
All right, you've been watching our conversation with former Bengals receiver Mike Martin. The rest of that conversation is on the other side of this break. Sports of all sorts. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back on Sports of All Sorts. Earlier in tonight's show, you saw the first part of a conversation our sports anchor Marshall Kramsky had with former Bengals receiver Mike Martin, who's now dedicated his post-playing career to the development of flag football, and he's working to grow the sport here in Cincinnati. Here is the rest of that conversation.
You brought up the foundation and how the money goes towards that. What is the foundation? I know you briefly mentioned your son Marcus.
Yeah, it's the Marcus Martin Foundation, and what we do is we actually give out college scholarships to kids. He lived in Chicago, D.C., and Cincinnati. So we rotate those cities giving out scholarships. And we also, we've got a bus and taking kids to see movies. We have free youth camps in all the cities that we do. We did one here last year at TAB, which was really great. But we try to make sure that folks, they know who he was, his legacy, that's going to live on forever. And as long as I'm breathing, man, that's what's going to happen.
So flag football, you played in the NFL, obviously not flag, very violent.
I played when I was young.
You did play, okay.
I played flag football when I was young.
So what are the benefits of flag football for the youth?
The benefits for flag football is that you get an opportunity to learn the fundamentals of running, catching, throwing, and playing defense. it's not so much up front. You don't have offensive line because you can't block. There's no blocking. You can't block. But getting an opportunity for the young kids to have a ball in their hand and try not to have somebody pull their flag. And we do a lot of little drills with that, man. But the funniest things you will ever see, we have part of our group is the 5- and 6-year-old teams. That's hilarious. They are absolutely hilarious. They get the ball, they run the wrong way, they run out of bounds. One kid scored a touchdown and ran over to his dad, pointing at his dad, and just ran off the field, high five, and he just stood over there. I'm like, hey, man, the game's still going on. You got to come back. And the dad was so excited. The dad picked him up. And, and so when I see that, it really makes me feel good because I'm like, these parents are seeing their kids get out here and actually be active and compete and, do some things that they probably thought they would never do. And they're having fun. They're really having fun. The parents are having fun watching them.
Flag football's on the forefront nationally right now, internationally because of the Olympics. What are your thoughts on flag football going into LA in the Olympics?
I think it's going to be great. I'm trying to figure out how are they going to determine who's going to be on the team. Because you got NFL players now that saying, hey, I'm playing NFL flag because I want to represent our country in the Olympics. So I would love to be a part of that. And I called Isaiah Reese, who's over everything now, the guy that I worked with back in the beginning. I said, man, how are you guys going to handle this? He said, we're letting the NFL do that part. That's on them. He said, all we're doing is making sure they understand how everything works, how the rules are, and what's going to happen. He said, if we lose a game, I'm going to be totally upset. I said, I think the whole country's going to be totally upset if we lose a game of flag football when you got some of the best athletes in the world that's going to play. So I think it's going to be great. I already told Isaiah, I said, I got to be out there. I said, I got to be there. He said, we're going to take care of you, man. We're going to make sure everything's straight.
Parents, there's so many different options for kids when it comes to sports, little league, soccer, you name it. Why should they put their kid in flag football?
Well, I think because it's such a growing sport right now and it's gaining a lot of attention and everybody's interested in it, because there's no contact, it's very safe. When you can't block, which is hard for these kids to run down the field, can't hit anybody, that's kind of tough. But the thing is that with a lot of the other sports, you still get the opportunity to have camaraderie. You have to do a lot of things. But we're getting these kids to understand the competitiveness of football. It's just without the other stuff that's on it. But for them to get out there and compete and high five and be, just be all in it, I think flag football for me, and I played it at a young age, and I played, like I said, I played the professional football. For me, I think being able to catch and run started in flag for me. And it's funny, I talked to some of my guys from back in the neighborhood, and they said, man, you remember we used to play flag football? I said, yeah. He said, and you used to get the ball, and you thought you were, I was a Mercury Morris fan back in the day. You thought you were Mercury Morris, and that nobody could touch you. And I said, yeah. And I said, when I went to NFL, I said, when I went to high school, I was thinking the same thing. When I went to college, I was thinking the same thing. When I came to Cincinnati with the Bengals, I was thinking the same thing. You're not going to touch me. And so I think it's a great opportunity for these kids to really be a part of something that's blossoming right in front of our eyes. I think that's a great thing.